Revenge Films.
My name is Erica. I'm 25 years old, single, and work as a magazine editor. 2 years ago, I met Scott, who works in media, through my job, and we've been dating ever since. Even though we both lead busy lives, we try to make time to see each other whenever we can. After graduating college, I moved to Tokyo for work. 3 years have gone by in a blur, and I haven't even had the chance to visit my hometown. Just when I started feeling like I wanted to see my family's faces again, I got a call from my older brother, Ryan. Ryan is 2 years older than me, and we were really close growing up, but since I moved away, we'd only kept in touch with the occasional phone call. The reason for his call? He was getting married. He explained that he'd caught the eye of his company's CEO and was now set to marry the CEO's daughter. Of course, I wanted to rush home to congratulate him in person, but work wouldn't allow it. Instead, I promised I'd definitely be there for the wedding and ended the call. A little while later, I received the invitation. I took off just enough time to be home the day before and the day of the wedding. When I arrived at the station, Ryan was there waiting for me at the ticket gate. We decided to grab a drink together and headed to a nearby izakaya pub. When I asked if his fiancée was okay with him being out, he said,
"She's off having a bachelorette party with her friends tonight."
So I reminded him to at least send her a quick message to avoid any misunderstandings. As we drank and caught up, Ryan started opening up about the marriage. At first he seemed cheerful, but as the conversation went on, his expression grew more uneasy. He told me his fiancée, Anna, was kind but sheltered, having grown up as the daughter of a powerful CEO. Her father was known to be difficult, and the marriage had actually been pushed through rather forcefully. Ryan said he did like Anna, but he couldn't help wondering if going through with the marriage was really the right decision. Still, he said there was no way he could back out. Knowing her father, Ryan was sure he'd be fired if he tried. "It's too late now anyway," he added with a nervous laugh. "We've already registered the marriage." Seeing him like that made me feel uneasy too. Then came the wedding day. As our parents and I entered the venue, I was suddenly blocked by the bride and her father. It was my first time meeting them, so I smiled politely and introduced myself. That's when Anna suddenly pointed at me and screamed, "Daddy, this is the girl!" She followed that with, "She's the tramp who tried to steal Ryan from me!" Then without warning, she yanked my hair with all her strength. "Let go, that hurts!" I cried out, but before I could react, her father shouted,
"So you're the one who hurt my daughter!"
And he shoved me violently. I fell to the ground, hitting my head hard on the edge of a table. Blood poured from the wound and everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed. The moment I felt the pain in my head, the memories of what happened came rushing back. My mom, who was sitting beside me, gasped and said, "Oh dear, you're awake! Oh, thank goodness!" She quickly called the doctor, who confirmed I was fully conscious. Then he told me the police would be coming by soon to take my statement. But before the police arrived, Anna and her father barged into my hotel room. Rather than apologizing, Anna sneered at me and said, "So, you're his sister, huh? I saw you two coming out of that pub together, and since I didn't see his text, I assumed the worst. How was I supposed to know? Anyway, calling an ambulance just because you were bleeding a little. Talk about being dramatic. Thanks to you, Ryan freaked out and postponed the wedding. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Her father, standing beside her, added in a condescending tone,
"Look, going to the cops won't do you any good. I've got connections. This will all get swept under the rug. So let's just cut to the chase. How much do you want to settle this?"
I was furious. "I'm not settling," I said sharply. "I'm reporting everything to the police and filing an assault charge." Anna's father let out a mocking laugh.
"You think the police care what someone like you has to say? I'm the CEO of a major company. No one's going to touch me. Go ahead, file your report. No one will take it seriously."
As they turned and walked out, Anna scoffing and her father smirking, I felt my blood boil. After they left, my mom sat beside me in tears. She told me that after I was taken to the hospital, Ryan was so furious about what happened that he called off the wedding. But that just made Anna's father explode. He threatened Ryan, saying,
"If you leave my daughter, I'll make sure you're fired and blacklisted. No company will ever hire you again."
Through her sobs, my mom said, "I never should have supported this marriage. I had no idea they had that kind of power. Even the police might not be able to help us." That's when an idea came to me. I picked up my phone and called my boyfriend, Scott. After I explained everything, he said, if they come back to the hospital tomorrow, secretly record them, just in case. The next day, Anna and her father returned as if nothing had happened. As soon as they walked in, they started threatening me again.
If you won't settle, you have no idea what's coming!
Her father growled. I'm not agreeing to anything. You haven't even apologized. I shot back. That's when he completely lost it. He grabbed my head just where my stitches were and slammed it against the wall. Blood started gushing from the wound that had only just begun to heal. I reached for the call button to get a doctor, but he sneered and said,
Don't even bother. This hospital does what I say.
Just then, Scott rushed into the hospital room.
Erica, are you okay?
He shouted, running over to me and immediately pressing the call button for the nurse. He turned to Anna's father with fire in his eyes and said,
You won't get away with this.
Because of the fresh injury, I had to undergo treatment again, and my hospital stay was extended. I couldn't return to work, and I knew I wouldn't be able to move on until I received proper compensation for everything they had put me through. Seeing me so down, Scott gently said,
Leave the rest to me, honey.
And then walked out with the video footage in hand. The next day, I turned on the hospital room TV, and to my shock, my story was on a talk show. My face was blurred for privacy, but the footage of Anna's father threatening me and injuring me was aired for the entire country to see. Scott had edited the video and leaked it to the media. The fallout was immediate. Swarms of reporters gathered in front of Anna's father's company. Can you explain what happened in the hospital? Is it true you assaulted a woman? They shouted through microphones and cameras. Anna's father shouted back,
Get out of here! Don't come back!
But the media didn't back down. They showed up day after day. As public outrage grew and the incident gained national attention, the company was forced to remove him from his position. He was officially fired and had to leave the company in disgrace. It didn't end there. Furious viewers began harassing the family, even vandalizing their home. Eventually, it became so bad that they had to move. Their personal information was leaked online, and no one in the family could go outside without being recognized. They all became shut-ins, completely cut off from the world. On top of everything, they were ordered to pay me compensation as well as cover the cancellation fees for the wedding. In the blink of an eye, the wealthy and powerful Anna family had lost everything and were thrown into a life of poverty. As for Anna, she reportedly underwent plastic surgery and now works in the nightlife industry under a new name. She's said to be drowning in alcohol and toxic relationships. Her father, completely broken from the backlash, developed a severe case of neurosis. He now lives as a recluse and regularly visits a psychiatrist just to get through the day. Apparently losing both his wealth and status was such a shock to Anna's father that he now spends every day muttering things like,
I was the CEO, you know,
and causes constant trouble for his family. As for my brother, after divorcing Anna, he was relieved to learn he could continue working under the new CEO. He apologized to me countless times, feeling responsible for what had happened, but I knew none of it was his fault. There's no bad blood between us, and we intend to stay as close as ever. That said, the emotional wounds from the divorce run deep. He's told me he's not ready to even think about dating again for a while. As for me, the whole ordeal ended up bringing Scott and me even closer together. 6 months later, we got married and started our newlywed life in a new apartment. I feel incredibly lucky to have married someone who stood by me no matter what, who protected me through it all. From now on, I want to be that kind of partner for him too. Someone who's always on his side, no matter what life throws our way. And deep down, I truly hope my brother meets someone who makes him feel the same way. Someone who brings him happiness and helps him heal. He deserves that. I'll be cheering him on every step of the way, hoping he finds a love that's kind, strong, and real. My mother and I aren't biologically related. My real parents tragically passed away in an accident when I was very young. At that time, my aunt, who's my mother's sister, stepped in and promised to raise me. From that moment, she became my mother. When my parents passed, my grandparents, who had been elderly when they had my mother and her siblings, were no longer able to take care of me. There was even talk of placing me in a foster home. But it was my aunt who stopped that from happening. Since then, she raised me as a single mother, working hard every day to support us. She made sure I could go to college, and to me, she was not just a mother, but also a savior. We worked together side by side, and when I started my career, I eventually met my husband. He was kind and caring, and he treated my mom with love and respect. Over time, I became more and more certain that I wanted to marry him. And after 3 years of dating, he proposed. But, as with all marriages, we had to go through the process of meeting each other's parents, including his. It didn't go well. His mother, who had always been very close to him, almost overbearing, despised me from the start. I was the one who took him away from her, and she was furious about it. But what really hurt was how she constantly belittled my mother. She mocked the fact that I didn't have my biological parents, and even when I tried to explain that my aunt raised me as her own, she dismissed it, saying, like, if your real mom wasn't around, she's not really your mom. My mother, who had worked tirelessly to raise me and had a modest life, didn't meet her expectations. She had to take time off for me when I was sick or when there were school events, so she wasn't able to climb up the corporate ladder. As a result, she worked part-time, but my husband's mother couldn't understand this and would constantly belittle us, saying things like, if you were a better match for my son, you'd have a family like mine, successful and well off. Why would he marry someone from such a poor family? Eventually, my husband snapped. He was furious at how his mother had treated me and my mom. From then on, he made sure I didn't have to deal with her. He also stopped visiting his parents as much. His mother, in turn, became enraged and started calling me, accusing me of brainwashing him and calling me all sorts of cruel things. But my husband always handled it, and his support helped me cope with the emotional toll. As time passed, although my husband grew distant from his parents, he became even closer to my mother. He would plan weekend dinners with her and even arrange trips for just the two of us to get away for a weekend. We were happy, and I felt blessed. But then, one day, my mom's health began to deteriorate, and after a series of tests, she was diagnosed with cancer. Unfortunately, it was at an advanced stage, and the doctors told us that she didn't have much time left. I was devastated, but my mom, ever so composed, told me she had no regrets. She said the time we spent together had been the happiest of her life. From then on, I wanted to cherish the time I had left with her. My husband and I would visit her hospital room as often as we could. We made sure not to show our sadness in front of her so as not to burden her. Instead, we kept things light, talking like everything was normal, just like we always had. A year later, my mom passed away. When it happened, my husband, who had grown very close to her, was devastated. He cried uncontrollably, and we both wept together until we had no tears left. At the funeral, many people who had loved my mother came to pay their respects, and they mourned her loss with us. Although we had informed my in-laws, it was clear they weren't as affected. My father-in-law arrived and expressed his condolences, showing some kindness. But my mother-in-law, she didn't even try to hide her coldness. As soon as she arrived, she said, "It's not even your real mom. Why are you pretending to be so sad? You must be happy deep down because you're going to inherit everything, right?" I felt my blood start to boil, but before I could react, my father-in-law stepped in and shouted,
"Enough! Shut your mouth!"
He calmed the situation down, and I tried my best to regain my composure. Then, as the time for my mom's cremation drew near, I knew that this would be the last time I'd ever see her face. I cried as I desperately tried to memorize every detail of her face, knowing I would never get another chance. Beside me, my husband was sobbing uncontrollably, thanking her for everything she had done for us. That was when my mother-in-law said something I couldn't believe. "You are taking way too long. Hurry up and burn her already. I'm only here because I'm obligated to be, so just get it over with." The room went completely silent. Then my father-in-law, visibly enraged, shouted,
"What the fuck is wrong with you? Get over here!"
He dragged my mother-in-law out of the room, and although I couldn't see them, I could hear her being yelled at and scolded outside by both him and my husband. A little while later, my husband returned and apologized to me. He told me that he had sent my in-laws home. There was so much I wanted to say to my mother-in-law, but at that moment, I just wanted to peacefully say goodbye to my mom. So I focused on finishing the funeral as quietly and quickly as I could. About a week later, I was sorting through some of my mother's belongings. My mother-in-law suddenly showed up at my house. She had never once visited before, so I was taken aback. What could she possibly want? Then, with an audacity that shocked me, she said something that made my blood boil. "Now, with your mother gone, I'm the only one left. And with the insurance money, you don't need to pay for her hospital bills anymore, right? So you should give all that money to us. Start by giving me $20,000 right now." Her words were so vile that I could hardly process them. I felt my whole body go red with anger, and everything I had been holding in exploded. I lunged at her. At that moment, she started screaming as I grabbed her hair, shouting for help. And one of the neighbors happened to pass by and intervened. Word quickly got to my husband and father-in-law, and they arrived at the scene. After hearing what happened, my father-in-law was beyond furious. He forced my mother-in-law to apologize by making her kneel in front of me.
"Apologize now!"
he shouted. "Why should I apologize? I have every right to claim what's mine," she snapped back. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from her. Her behavior was beyond disgraceful. But my father-in-law pressed her head to the ground and forced her into a bowing apology, dragging her out of the house. My husband was deeply apologetic for his mother's behavior and kept saying how sorry he was. I knew that neither he nor his father were to blame, but honestly, I was exhausted from dealing with my mother-in-law. By sheer coincidence, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer during a routine health check in the area. What was even more shocking was that it was the exact same type of cancer my mother had. She was devastated to learn that she had cancer, but perhaps because she'd seen how devoted I was to caring for my own mother, she assumed I'd do the same for her. She outright demanded that I take care of everything for her, too. But I had absolutely no intention of doing so. I told her that this was the perfect opportunity for us to cut ties completely. She flew into a rage, screaming that her son would never abandon her. But my husband agreed with me and coldly turned his back on her. When he told her he was cutting ties, she clung to him, begging her beloved son not to leave her. But the look in his eyes as he looked down at her was cold and unforgiving. To make things worse for her, my father-in-law also chose this moment to speak with her. He told her,
"This is divine punishment for all the things you've done. You brought this upon yourself."
Then he handed her divorce papers. My mother-in-law lost her mind when she realized everyone had abandoned her. But my father-in-law went through with the divorce, using a lawyer to finalize everything. While she was still in that hospital, he moved out of the house and left it behind. Just like that, she had no home to return to, but I felt no sympathy at all. 6 months later, her cancer progressed far more rapidly than my mother's had. In the end, she was skin and bones, unable to eat, and lost all her hair before passing away. I never imagined that she would die from the same cancer as my mother. But I couldn't help but feel it was divine retribution for how lightly she had treated someone else's death. According to the nurses, unlike during my mother's illness, no one came to visit her. She passed away quietly, all alone. Honestly, I think it was exactly what she deserved.
It's been 7 years since I started working and living alone. One day, I got a phone call from my stepfather, Mason, and he wanted me to come home. My dad passed away from illness when I was in grade school. Then my mom remarried to Mason, who ran a small business, and I got a stepbrother, Dave. We were a family of 4 until I left the house. When I got there, Mason looked serious and told me to sit down. Mom was sitting next to him when he slapped me in the face out of the blue.
Is that how you want to return after I raised you all those years? Shame on you!
He yelled at me and cursed. He never hit me before, and I was shocked and speechless. He then explained,
I never wanted to be your father. I never had an affection for you either. But there was the insurance money from your father, and I didn't have to support you. That's why I agreed to raise you.
I never had an affection for him either, nor for Dave, who was 2 years younger than I. I don't have one good childhood memory with him, and he favored his own son. But he never spelled it out like this before, and I didn't know how to respond. He went on venting. He never liked me, he never wanted another child, and he wanted to cut all ties with me. He said all this without giving me the reason, and I just couldn't comprehend. Mom was quiet all this time, listening to what he had to say, and didn't even look at me. I understood she was with him on this. She's on his side over mine. She was the only real family I had, but she chose him over me. I just didn't care about anything anymore. It was fine by me if they wanted to cut ties with me, but I at least wanted an explanation. Then he showed me a letter.
Please send $5,000 because I'm having problems making a living? It's one thing for Dave, but I don't have a dime to give you!
The letter had my bank details, which I hadn't used for years, and I didn't have the checkbook with me either because I left it in their house long ago. Also, the addressee was written on the envelope, but there was no postmark, which meant it was hand-delivered. But that was overlooked, or they didn't care. They just saw my name on it and believed it was from me. How would I ask you to send me money when I've been sending you $1,000? Then both of them jumped up saying, "What?" So I told them about the letter he sent to me, which said, "Please send us $1,000 every month because we are struggling," along with his bank info. It also wrote, "Please keep this between us. I don't want your mother worried. Do not send her letters or call her so she won't be suspicious." Thus, I've been sending him the money every month for over 2 years because I thought I owed it to them for raising me. He seemed shocked and said he never received any of it. It didn't take long for me to guess who sent the letter to them and to me. It must be Dave. He could have used my old account and accessed one of his father's accounts relatively easily. In the middle of this, Dave came home at the right time and was startled to see me there.
Hey, brother, what's up?
So I told him that I was called up and was just told that they had no intention to give me $5,000. Mason cut in.
You didn't do this, did you? It can't be you!
Dave couldn't say anything before me glaring at him. He was just upset, so I said that if he had no idea about this, I'd call the police to report the fraud. Then he finally came clean. He said he was deeply into gambling, from horse racing to casinos, and had substantial debt. He couldn't catch up on the payment from his income and used his father's name to draw money from me. Once he successfully deceived me, he came up with a similar method to draw money from his father. But fortunately or not, he didn't like me enough to give me money readily, but instead called me up and brought me here so he could preach and hit me. Dave said it was meant to be temporary and he was going to return it soon, but that didn't cut it. It was beyond that. I told him that he's not only responsible for returning all that money he had taken wrongfully, but also to pay damages, and he almost fainted. Mason said,
Damage? Come on, we're family. Your brother is in trouble. Isn't it your job to help him as a big brother? Why don't you forgive him?
I snorted and laughed. Did you forget already? You just said we're not family anymore. I'm not naive enough to let it go when a stranger messes with me. Then he realized what he had said to me earlier and turned pale. I added that I was recently headhunted by a large company by a recruiter for my work performance, and that the company was coincidentally in the process of selecting an affiliate, and Mason's company was one of the candidates. I was surprised when I saw the name of his company on the list. They're in the decision-making process among 3 companies, and if this hadn't happened, I could have given a point to his company. But I don't have to anymore, because we're strangers now. Listening to what I said, he apologized to me and said,
I'm sorry. I apologize. Please forget what I said. I won't cut ties with you. Please help my company. I have to get this contract or our company may be in jeopardy. I'll make Dave apologize too. Please. He then grabbed Dave's head and forced him to apologize to me. Don't bother. I'm rather relieved to cut ties with this rotten family. Then I stood up. Now, Mom begged me to help them, sobbing. Dave begged for forgiveness, and Mason clung to my feet. I left the chaos behind. After a while, I made a fair choice, but Mason's company didn't get enough votes after all. As he predicted, his company failed and eventually went bankrupt. Dave's debt rose to $10,000 and he filed for bankruptcy. The house they lived in was foreclosed and the 3 had no choice but to move to an old apartment. Mason was too old to be hired for part-time work and was having a hard time finding a job. Dave's employer found out about his bankruptcy. The word got around and he suffered from a mental condition, couldn't continue working, and quit. Mom cried for help and said they wanted to move into my apartment so the 4 of us could live together again. What nonsense is she talking about? I told her it was her husband who started. I didn't wait another minute to block them all. Luckily, they haven't found out where I live, so I'll be safe here. No matter how you look at it, a thorny road awaits them, but they found that road themselves. My name is John. I've been married to my wife, Kayla, for 3 years now. Including the time we lived together before getting married, we've been together for over 4 years. We don't have any kids yet. After living under the same roof for that long, you start to pick up on things, so it didn't take me long to realize she was cheating. I waited for the right moment and checked her phone. Sure enough, I found messages between her and another man. I saved them as evidence. That's how I confirmed she was having an affair. A few days later, I caught them coming out of a hotel. I took pictures with my phone, started recording audio, and walked up to them. "What are you 2 doing here?" I asked. Both of them were clearly rattled. They kept saying it's not what it looks like over and over again, so I called them out. "I saw you 2 come out of that hotel with my own eyes, and I already know this wasn't the first time." Then I looked straight at the guy. "You're her boss, right? So you lied about being out for work and instead used that time to sleep with your subordinate in a hotel? You know how serious that is, right? And you're married too, aren't you?" He paused for a moment, then shamelessly replied, "It was a moment of weakness, just one time. Besides, legally speaking, one night together doesn't usually count as a full-blown affair. you wouldn't get much in damages. It's hard to prove serious emotional harm if it only happened once.
Then he lowered his head and said,
Anyway, I'm sorry. Please don't report this to the company. You wouldn't want your wife to lose her job either, would you?
That really pissed me off. You think you can get away with a half-assed apology like that? You and your wife, my place, tomorrow, Sunday. I already knew he and my wife had the day off since they work at the same company. When Kayla got home that night, she made a big show of apologizing, got down on her knees and everything.
He's actually a really good boss. I didn't even realize what was happening until we ended up at the hotel. It was just that one time. He told me the same thing. It was a moment of weakness.
Clearly she had rehearsed all this in case she got caught.
But I swear, I only love you. You're the only one I care about.
I pretended to accept it for the time being. Then she asked,
How did you even find out?
I saw the messages on your phone, I replied. Then she suddenly snapped.
That's horrible. I can't believe you'd go through my phone like that. That's a huge invasion of privacy.
I fired back. Wow, you've got some nerve calling me horrible and invasive after you cheated on me. She had nothing to say to that. She just looked down in silence, but even as she apologized, I could see it in her face. She wasn't sorry. She looked frustrated, almost annoyed. She had only pretended to apologize to figure out how she got caught. We didn't talk much after that. The next day, just like I told him to, the other man, her affair partner, showed up at our house. But he didn't bring his wife, even though I specifically told him to. I let him in anyway, and we sat across from each other at the table. To my surprise, my wife sat next to him. That pissed me off. She said she loved me just yesterday. What the hell was she thinking? I held my anger in and started recording the conversation on my phone. I turned to her. Why are you sitting next to him? Didn't you just tell me yesterday that I'm the one you love? She got up and moved seats, but not next to me. No, she sat between the two of us. So she really doesn't want to sit next to me, huh? Message received. The guy sat there, legs crossed, acting like he owned the place. My wife looked sulky and defiant, showing no signs of regret. I focused on the guy first. Let me ask you something. Why didn't you bring your wife like I asked? This is a conversation about your affair. She needed to be here.
That's your first misunderstanding,
he said calmly. What the hell are you talking about?
The whole affair thing, that's the misunderstanding.
He smiled smugly.
You keep saying we had an affair, but you don't actually have any proof, do you?
Are you kidding me? I saw the messages between you two on her phone.
Oh, those messages? That was all just a joke. You really believed that?
I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Yeah, we threw in the word hotel and some other stuff, but come on, it was just fooling around. Sorry you got the wrong idea.
My wife chimed in, mocking me.
Seriously, how could you take that stuff seriously? Going off about cheating and all that? Don't you feel embarrassed?
So, yeah, since there's no physical relationship, there's no grounds for damages or anything. No need for some big talk or legal action.
They both started laughing like it was all a big joke. Don't screw with me. I saw you both coming out of a hotel yesterday.
That's odd. I don't recall going to any hotel yesterday.
Me neither.
My wife added with a smirk. What the hell? It was clear they had planned this overnight, coordinated their stories to deny everything.
Well, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, the guy said casually before walking out. Once he was gone, I turned to my wife. What the hell is going on?
Let's just drop this. We're only going in circles now. How many times are you going to go on about this? You're completely overreacting. You misunderstood everything. You're so annoying. I'm going back to my parents' house.
She stormed out. Looks like she had packed her things the night before. It didn't take her long to leave. Clearly, this was all part of her plan. If this is how she wants to play it, then fine. I'll go all out. We've been together for years. I know her. I can tell she and that guy have no intention of ending things. That means I still have chances to strike. They're denying the affair just so they can avoid paying damages. I'm not letting them off that easy. I deliberately chose not to show them the evidence, photos, and audio recordings. If I revealed my hand too soon, they'd just come up with countermeasures. I'm gonna pick the most effective method of revenge. A few days later, just as I had finalized my plan, my wife happened to call. She said she wanted to talk, so we met at a cafe. She started complaining about me, criticizing my appearance, nitpicking minor things in our daily life, covering all kinds of topics. It felt like she was trying to get me to say, I want a divorce. I could tell she was already thinking about building a life with the other man. What is this charade? If you want a divorce, just say so.
You're the one jumping to conclusions.
So you're not planning to be honest about anything?
I have been honest from the beginning. I never went to a hotel with him, and those messages on my phone were all jokes. You're the one who misunderstood everything.
I stayed silent. My lack of response seemed to make her feel triumphant, and she stood up as if she had won. It was clear now that she had only come to rub it in, probably because she was still angry about what I had said before. We left the cafe. As she was walking away, I asked one last thing. Just tell me one thing.
What?
Do you feel any remorse for cheating, or do you not? With her back still turned to me, she said nothing. Well, which is it?
It's all your fault. You made me feel lonely. You couldn't satisfy me. That's why I did what I did.
I see. So it's all my fault. I nodded solemnly.
Looks like you finally understand. I cheated because you drove me to it.
And with that, we parted ways. It was more fruitful than I'd hoped. I got her to admit to the affair, and I had recorded everything. She basically blew up her own case. I then went to the guy's workplace. When I showed him the audio and photo evidence, he was visibly shaken. I asked him, "Do you actually plan to be with my wife?" "You two should work things out between yourselves. I've got my own family to take care of." I asked several times to make sure, but his answer never changed. I left after that. Of course, that entire conversation was also recorded. The next day, I met my wife again at the same cafe. I played her the recording of the other man, and she was visibly shaken. I mean, I'm a guy. I can probably get remarried pretty easily. But you're a woman. Things are going to be a lot tougher for you from here on out. I said it with a tone of fake sympathy. Then I went on to stoke her fears and frustrations, pushing all the right buttons. Not long after, she stormed over to the other man's house. She involved his wife, too, and apparently it turned into a huge fight. Since my wife and the guy worked at the same company, word spread fast, and it became a full-blown scandal at work as well. I heard she was screaming things like,
You said you were going to leave your wife!
A few days later, I got a call from the guy. He sounded like he was on the verge of a breakdown.
"What the hell is going on?" he shouted. So I just told him, "You brought this on yourself." I divorced my wife. The guy, his life was completely wrecked, both personally and professionally. He ended up quitting his job and getting divorced. My ex-wife also left the company and was dumped by him. Both of them were hit with $20,000 compensation claims, mine and the guy's ex-wife's. In the end, the two who had been so careful to cover for each other ended up turning on one another. Watching them self-destruct like that was deeply satisfying.
My name is Katie, and I'm 23 years old. I work at the hotel my parents run. I've been dating my boyfriend for 2 years, and we recently got engaged. His name is Tom. He used to be so attentive and devoted to me, but ever since we got engaged, he's been getting lazy. My parents plan to have him take over the hotel business after we get married, and my dad was supposed to start training him, but honestly, at this rate, there's no way he's ready. Tom started working at the hospital with me 2 months ago, but he keeps skipping out on his responsibilities. I knew he liked fishing, but I didn't expect him to sneak off in the middle of his shift just because the weather's nice. He's totally hooked, pun intended. Because he constantly ditches the tasks he assigned and disappears without telling anyone, the staff are all fed up. I can't help but feel responsible. Then one day, while I was dealing with all of this, someone unexpected showed up at the hotel. Amanda, a friend from high school. She's the daughter of a company president and has always been spoiled, boy crazy, and money hungry, which made her unpopular among the other girls. To be honest, I never really liked her either, so we lost touch after graduation. But when we reunited, I barely recognized her. She had become so flashy. "Hey, it's me, Amanda! Long time no see," she said with a big smile. She told me she'd heard from mutual friends that I work at this hotel and came to see me, but we were never that close, so I found it kind of suspicious. Back in school, my parents had told me to keep the fact that we owned the hotel a secret from anyone outside my close circle. They didn't want people approaching me just because they thought I had money, so Amanda assumed I was just a regular hotel staff member. Knowing her love for money, I figured it was best to keep things that way. I kept the conversation polite and just showed her to her room. Later, Amanda came to the front desk asking where the hot spring was. Just then, Tom came back from one of his fishing trips. I casually introduced them, and Tom offered,
"I'll show you the way myself."
Clearly thrilled to have an excuse to spend time with her. It really annoyed me to see him drooling over a flashy, flirty woman like her, but I held my tongue since we were both on the job. Amanda had booked a 3-night stay, and during that time, Tom suddenly transformed into her personal assistant. He stopped going fishing and started following Amanda around instead of doing his actual work. I couldn't take it anymore and snapped. "Stop trailing her around like some kind of lost puppy and get back to work." Then Tom just smirked and said,
"What, are you jealous or something?"
Like it was no big deal. His smug response only made me angrier, and before I knew it, I ended up saying everything I'd been holding in. I told him that if he wasn't going to take the job seriously, I'd talk to my dad and have him reconsider the whole successor thing. He just laughed and said,
"No way your old man's gonna let go of such a valuable heir."
That's when I snapped, "There are tons of better people than you out there."
I only got close to a plain girl like you because I wanted to be the heir to this hotel.
Just like that, he exposed himself, admitting that the only reason he proposed to me was for the hotel. In that moment, I knew I was done. I decided to call off the engagement right then and there. For the rest of Amanda's stay, Tom followed her around everywhere like a puppy. He didn't even bother to hide it anymore. 3 days later, I was finally relieved her stay was coming to an end, until Amanda stopped me and said she needed to talk. She took me outside, and to my surprise, Tom was already there waiting. "What's he doing here?" I asked. That's when Amanda said, "I'm going to marry your fiancé, so hurry up and break it off already." I turned to Tom and said, "Well, you heard her." He gave me this awkward little grin, clearly not expecting things to go this way, and that's when everything clicked. He had probably told Amanda the hotel would be his someday, and money-hungry Amanda jumped on the opportunity, hoping to steal him away from me. The whole thing is so pathetic, I couldn't even be mad. I was just grossed out. I looked them both in the eye and said, "Best of luck to you," then walked away. After that, I told my parents and the staff everything, from the broken engagement to Tom's true intentions. The staff all said the same thing, like, Thank goodness that guy won't be running this place, and they encouraged me to move forward. 3 months passed. Everyone had pretty much forgotten about Tom until Amanda suddenly showed up at the hotel one day, storming in like she owned the place. "What are you still doing here? This hotel belongs to my husband now. Get out!" I calmly replied, "This hotel is owned by my parents. I'm the heir, not Tom. He's got nothing to do with it anymore." After Tom left, my father, seeing how I handled things and the overwhelming support from the staff, led to the final decision. I would officially be the successor to the hotel. When Amanda learned the truth, she snapped. Right then, Tom came rushing in after Amanda.
You didn't tell her anything stupid, did you?
I calmly said, "I didn't say anything unnecessary. I just told her the truth." Tom froze.
You're kidding, right?
He muttered, turning pale as he looked at Amanda. She was in total shock. "You lied to me? You're the worst! We already registered our marriage. What am I supposed to do now?" Apparently, Tom had told her, "I have no place to go back to because Katie won't quit the hotel," making himself the victim. Amanda had believed every word and showed up at the hotel ready to claim it as her own. When she realized she'd been duped, she exploded. "That's it! I'm divorcing you, Tom!" she screamed before storming out of the hotel. Tom, left behind, then turned to me and shouted,
If we get divorced, it's your fault! Take responsibility and marry me instead!
I didn't even dignify that nonsense with a response. Later, I heard that Amanda, having just gotten married and celebrated by her family and friends, couldn't bring herself to go through with a divorce so soon. Reluctantly, she decided to stay in the marriage, at least for the time being. Meanwhile, Tom, having been cut off from the hotel, stopped working altogether and started spending his days fishing. He began buying expensive fishing gear using Amanda's credit cards, and their marriage quickly turned into a disaster. With Tom not working and blowing through money, Amanda had no choice but to rely on her father, who was the CEO of a company. But after repeatedly borrowing money, even he finally disowned her. Amanda, who had never really worked before, was forced to job hunt out of desperation, but nothing came through, and the debt just kept piling up. Eventually, she had no choice but to declare bankruptcy. That's when Tom turned to shady loan sharks. With insane interest rates, their debt ballooned rapidly, eventually surpassing $100,000. After being taken away by debt collectors, Tom disappeared without a trace, and he never came back. All that was left for Amanda were the debts, payday loans, and mountains of credit card bills. I heard she's been working simple day labor jobs just to scrape together enough money to pay them off. She thought she was marrying into wealth, but in reality, she'd tied herself to a deadbeat, and that one mistake ended up ruining her life. As for me, I've been living a busy but fulfilling life, working at the hotel and learning everything from my father. 2 years after breaking things off with Tom, I was set up for an arranged marriage with the son of one of my father's acquaintances. We took our time getting to know each other and eventually decided to start dating with marriage in mind. I wanted to begin by truly understanding the person I was with, something I had learned the hard way from my experience with Tom. Fortunately, this new man is the complete opposite of Tom. He was sincere, humble, and dependable. I feel relieved just being around him. I know that if we ever do get married, my father will wholeheartedly approve. He also respects my current priorities. He understands that right now my focus is on my work and becoming fully capable in my role. Once I've found my footing, we'll start talking about our future together. One thing I can say for sure, he's not the type of man who would follow some other woman around without a second thought. He's so honest and trustworthy that I can confidently say he'd never cheat. That's why I've decided to cherish this relationship and the second chance it's given me. I'm Shelley, working full-time and living with my husband, Tony. After graduating from college, I got a job at a major advertising company. I like my job and had no intention of leaving after we got married. Recently, I got a promotion, which motivated me even more. Tony, on the other hand, works a part-time job at a gas station. One may wonder why I married that kind of man in the first place. Well, he's a bit clumsy, but that was kind of his charm, and he made me feel like helping him. I guess I was attracted to him somehow, and we got married after 2 years of dating. And I'm supporting us. He's a bit misfit, but honest and a good person. I liked being with him. Who's perfect anyway? But he's been acting strange lately. One day when I got home, his mother, Sandy, was visiting. She raised Tony as a single mother, and Tony was submissive to her since he was a child. Sandy was controlling, and Tony never talked back to her. I could tell Tony was a different person in front of her. He did everything she told him to, as if he were brainwashed. I tried not to be in the middle of this. One day, Tony was all smiles when he saw me come home.
Hi, how was your day?
Sandy said, "Oh, I stayed too long. I'm going to go. You two will talk about it later." After she left, I turned to Tony. What was that all about? But he said,
Oh, nothing.
and acted strangely. Come on, tell me. But he pretended not to hear anything. He was hiding something, but there was no way to know until he talked, which made me feel uneasy. Since then, he started to contact Sandy and visit her more often. I knew something was going on, but he wouldn't say anything to me. I was getting tired of this game and talked to him less. He was usually in a pretty good mood and talkative, but he spent more time alone in the bedroom. A month later, Tony told me a shocking truth.
I bought a house for Mom and us. We'll live together from now on. If you don't agree, I'll divorce you.
He said proudly. What? A house? Then he finally told me what had been going on between them. The last time Sandy visited here, she suddenly brought up the idea of buying a house for the three of us. Don't you love it? We can live together again in a new house. Of course, he didn't say no. Tony didn't really know what it meant. He was just excited about getting a loan for a new house. I taught him a reality. It's impossible to get a mortgage on a $1,000 monthly income. But Tony said,
I already got approved through someone Mom knows. It was easy.
He showed me the business card of that person, but I've never heard of that mortgage company. A quick online search revealed that it was a loan shark. But Tony said,
If you disagree, I'll divorce you.
ignoring my feelings. So I said, "Did your mother tell you to say that?" And he didn't say anything, but acted awkwardly, like a child. I told him repeatedly, "You can't get involved with that company. They're terrible, like gangs." But he wouldn't listen to me. So I decided to talk to Sandy directly and drove to her house. I told her about the company, and she said it couldn't be, which was the same reaction as Tony's. Please be realistic. Tony is a part-timer and makes $1,000 per month. Normal banks would never lend him money. And Sandy said, $1,000 per month? What are you talking about? He works for a gas station full-time and he's a manager. What? Where did that come from? I just said, huh? And she replied, "What's gotten into you? My son doesn't do a part-time job. You're making me laugh." Tony made that up and lied to her. That's why she has no doubt about him getting a mortgage and wouldn't listen to me. I didn't want to get involved with people who would go to a loan shark. I can't throw my life away for them. My love for Tony was faded and gone, and I reached the conclusion that it's time for me to leave him. Tony, not knowing what's been going on in my mind, changed his attitude to me and acted like a king or something. It may have been Sandy's idea, but he would threaten me with divorce every chance he got.
Now that I'm a mortgage holder, I'm a decent man, right? You don't want to be divorced by a guy like me, huh?
He just doesn't understand. He also teamed up with Sandy and told me, "You'll do the housework once we move to a new house because you're the wife." They were going to use me as a maid, even though I was the provider in the house. Until now, I made more money and worked longer, and Tony helped out around the house. But now he's like a completely different person and very bossy. Is this Sandy's influence? He acted even weirder. One day he put up the picture frame on the wall with the divorce application in it. What's this?
It's Mom's idea. It's a friendly reminder for you to be obedient.
But in fact, it was a reminder for me to do the right thing. But I wanted to make sure their world would tumble down before getting a divorce. I waited for a month to see what would happen. Tony said,
We had the closing on the house, and it's ours. You'll do the packing yourself.
I just said, okay, and started packing. I took out the divorce application from the picture frame and brought it to the city hall. Then I moved to the apartment where I just signed the lease. Tony called me and said,
I told you to pack the stuff. Don't forget, I'll divorce you if you don't do what I say.
Gladly. Good luck with your mortgage payment. I hung up the phone and turned it off. The next day, he showed up in my office and yelled at me.
Why didn't you come home?
I replied calmly, I filed for a divorce, so we're strangers now, and I won't come home.
What?
He seemed panicked. I'll call security if you show up here again. I told him to leave, but he kept yelling.
You'll be sorry. You'll regret this.
After a month of silence, Tony came back along with Sandy. Now Sandy talked. That company was a loan shark after all, and they're giving us a hard time. Please help us pay it back. I simply said, told you. Tony started sobbing.
I'm sorry. I was wrong for not listening to you.
Too bad, but it's not my concern anymore. And I got back to my work. Rumor has it that they were soon in big trouble paying back the loan, and the house was taken away. To compensate, Tony had to work abroad in the shady business. He seems to be involved in some kind of smuggling, and nobody knows his whereabouts. Sandy is working in a warehouse for long hours, but she's merely catching up to pay back the interest. And there's a long way to go to pay it all back. I became free from all this chaos, and I am so glad to be out of it in one piece. If I didn't take the action, I would have been on the same boat with them, which is scary. I was lucky to be free from the wrong relationship. I learned the lesson, and I really have to be careful with people to share my life. I'm Naomi, 26 years old, and I clean the office building. I have a fiancé, Lance, and we're getting married soon. Lance is the company CEO of one of the tenants in the building. We started saying hello to each other while I was cleaning his office. One day he asked for my phone number, and we became closer since then. He approached me pretty proactively, and we started seeing each other. He said he noticed me cleaning his office thoroughly, and he'd liked me for some time. At one point, he said he wanted to be open about us in the office, but I asked him not to. If they found out the company's CEO was going out with a cleaning lady, you'll never know what they would say. They might make fun of me or him or make up funny stories. So we kept it a secret. And after 2 years, he proposed to me. He wanted to introduce me to everybody, and he planned the engagement party. He was looking forward to this, but I had a concern. It was Audley, who was a clerk in his company. She was 23 years old, always dressed nicely and modern. But she had a troubled personality and made fun of me often because I was a cleaner. Whenever she saw me, she would make comments like this. "How can you stand what you do? It's so dirty. Are you gay?" When she had a bad day in the office, she would take it out on me. Lance invited all the employees to our engagement party, which means Audley will come. I had a bad feeling about it, but she's still an employee of Lance's company. I couldn't say the bad things about her and kept them to myself. But once she finds out about us at the party, she may change her attitude afterward. I said to myself. It was just a few days before the party. I was working as usual when Audley stopped by my side. "Hey, don't miss the spot. There's a stain here." "I'm sorry, I'll clean it right away." I said it and reached for a mop. "I'm jealous. A cleaner, such a no-brainer. Although I would never do it myself." And she laughed. "I can call your company and make a complaint, like the floors aren't clean enough. If you're fired, are you going to look for another cleaning position? It suits you so well." I was so annoyed and couldn't help talking back to her. "I'm getting married and I'll quit this job soon." "Really? That's hilarious. Who's going to marry a cleaning woman? Is he a cleaner too? Can I see his picture?" When she not only insulted me, but also him too, I got angry and said, "He's a company CEO." Audrey didn't say a word, but I could tell she was furious. Then she spilled coffee from her cup on the floor. I wiped it up quickly, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I have to clean." And she poured the bucket of water over my head. I was soaking wet and speechless. "Good, it's clean now. You do the rest." She laughed and walked away. I was humiliated. People looked at me soaked while I was wiping the floor. I was cold and ran to the locker room. I never had any experience this bad at work. I was shocked and wanted to cry, but tried to swallow it. I thought I would quit this job right after I got married, but the cleaning and maintenance company I worked for has been in business since my great-grandfather's time, and my dad was the current CEO. I was always a daddy's girl, and I was proud of working for his company, and I didn't mind the work itself at all. That's why I didn't feel right about quitting just because of this one mean woman. Then finally, the day of the engagement party came. There were so many company employees gathered, and I was nervous the whole time. I showed up in front of the crowd wearing the dress Lance bought for me for this day. Everyone clapped their hands, and I was even more nervous. The first thing I checked was Audley's presence, but I didn't see her there. I thought she didn't come to the party and was so relieved. And I just enjoyed the party. Half an hour passed, and I was feeling more relaxed. Then there came a woman dressed like a medieval princess who caught everybody's attention. It was Audley. I gathered my courage and tried not to be bothered by her, but at that moment, Lance's phone rang. He left me alone in the room. Audley found me and came up to me and glared at my dress from top to bottom. I didn't say anything. Then, without a word, she poured the wine on my dress. "What are you doing?" I screamed, and she said, "What is a cleaner doing here? I just had to teach you that you don't belong here. Now, go home." I couldn't stand this anymore. "Are you sure? Do you really want me to leave?" Not realizing I was his fiancé, she said, "Of course, get out of here," and laughed. The room went silent. When I was actually about to leave, the director said,
What do you think you're doing? She's the CEO's fiancée! Are you nuts?
And she said, "CEO's fiancé? What are you talking about, director? She's a cleaner." Then one employee went pale and said to her, "Naomi is the fiancée of the CEO. Didn't you know that?" It turned out that Audley was unpopular not only with me, but also among other employees. She was invited to the party, but was about the only one who didn't know about me. Now Audley was panicked. I said, "Lance bought this dress for me for this day." "How would I know you're his fiancé? How is that possible?" Now Lance was back.
What's wrong with a cleaner?
He said to her with disdain. "Oh no, CEO." She looked at the stain on my dress and said, "It's not what you think." She made meaningless excuses. Lance told her coldly,
Don't bother to come in tomorrow. It shows a lack of decency and morals to pour wine on the fiancé's dress at the engagement party. We don't need an employee with no common sense like you.
Audrey just repeated, I'm sorry. But he made her leave. Everybody there said that she deserved it. Even though the dress was ruined, we had a good time afterward. A few days later, Lance wasn't satisfied with firing her and asked for a replacement dress. The dress was from a fabulous brand that cost over $6,000. It must have been a huge expense for her. But Lance sought out the dress just for me. She should have thought about it before causing trouble. Audrey lost her job and paid for the damage. Now she's penniless. She couldn't afford to choose the job she liked and applied for a cleaner position at my dad's company. When I spotted her while going through the applicants, I told him everything about her. He declined her without interviewing her. Audley moved from one job to another because she didn't last long at one place due to her malicious personality. She seems to be living from hand to mouth. I saw her once on the street when she was rummaging through the trash. Too bad she's surviving that way. I was going to quit my job after getting married, but I kept it as a part-time position. I did this job for a long time, so I'll quit when I want to quit. Meanwhile, my marriage is going well. I want to support my husband with all my love.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.